Welcome to Rathalos Watch. Today, I would like to talk about what new content Capcom is planning to unveil for the second beta of Monster Hunter Wilds on February 4th. If you are not up to date, basically Capcom is adding Gypceros to the second open beta along with new additional content. But what does that exactly mean? In this video, I'll be dissecting the wording and speculate on what Capcom is trying to surprise us with in the second open beta. We are nearing the 4,000 subscriber mark, so if you're looking forward to Monster Hunter Wilds coverage or just Monster Hunter in general and want to join in on the launch hype and beyond, then make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on. And do not forget to join our Discord community. Link is in a pinned comment. Without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so let's take a look at exactly what Capcom have posted on their official webpage for the second open beta. It says the following: in addition to all of the content including in the first open beta, held back in November of 2024, you'll also be able to try your hand at hunting a returning monster from the series, Gypceros, and other new content that will be revealed at a later date. There are four specific words that really stick out to me here: the word hunting, the word and the two words new content. They are said in that specific order, which implies that the hunting is going to be plural because of the word and of course new content implies that it's something we haven't experienced before in the original open beta, whether it be a new monster or maybe even a different locale that is not Windward Plains. What exactly is this new content? Is it a new monster from Monster Hunter Wilds or a returning monster from previous titles, or a whole new locale? I'm not gonna be listing returning monsters in this video from the data mine due to spoilers, but most of you already know who they are, so if you know, you know, or you can just look at previous videos. The point is that I cannot think of any other type of content that would be included in the second open beta besides an additional hunt on top of Gypceros, with a smaller sliver of a chance for Scarlet Forest, but more on that later. First of all, Capcom confirmed that the new weapon balance changes will not be implemented in the second open beta and that they will be only live at launch. This already rules out the possibility of having the ability to craft weapons or armor, because it just would be pointless and not make any sense. Some of my Discord community members suggest that the new content could refer to the player's house and the ability to be able to go inside and check it out. I do not really consider that new content, as it's not something that's really related to gameplay and is more of a cosmetic content than playable content. And if anything, it would not add any hype to the beta or release either, even if you could go inside your house, since that is not the main gameplay attraction of Monster Hunter. Other people suggested that it could be some sort of a new quest that asks you to hunt all the monsters available in the open beta in a single quest. Once again, that's not really new content, since the monsters wouldn't really be new from the previous beta, and it doesn't actually offer any sort of a unique experience either. Essentially, it will be the same thing as going around the entire map and slaying whatever comes your way. I am ruling this out as well. So for the sake of this argument, let's just assume that it is an additional hunt, but who could it be? Well, to answer that question and speculate as logically as possible, let's go back in time and take a look at the pre-launch of Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter World had 3 whole betas according to this old IGN article back in 2017. The first beta took place in early December of 2017, which was roughly about a month or so before the release, which was January 18th, 2018. In the beta, the game included 3 quests that allows you to hunt 3 different monsters, and each quest belonged to a different monster. You had a Great Gypceros quest, Anjanath quest, and a Barath quest. 2 of them took place in the Ancient Forest, and the other one was in the Wildspire Waste, which was the desert of Monster Hunter World. And if you completed the quest, you would also get in-game goodies when the game launched, similarly to how they are also doing it for Monster Hunter Wilds. But besides those 3 quests, Rathalos was also a roamer in the Ancient Forest in the first beta. Diablos and Gypceros were also huntable in the Wildspire Waste as roaming monsters. The second beta for Monster Hunter World added Kuliaku and Puki as additional roamers, but not quests. That is already a total of 8 monsters across the 2 Monster Hunter World betas, including Great Gypceros that had a dedicated quest, Barath that had a dedicated quest, Anjanath that had a dedicated quest, and the rest were Rathalos, Puki, Gypceros, and Kuliaku that were roamers. Then the third and final beta added Nergigante as a quest, making the final monster count of 9 monsters that players were able to experience and hunt down ahead of the release, with one of them being the flagship. To top it all off, hunters were also able to explore 2 whole locales, which included the Ancient Forest and Wildspire Waste. So one of the key differences between Monster Hunter Wilds and Monster Hunter World betas is that the first beta of Monster Hunter Wilds only gave access to Windward Plains, as opposed to Monster Hunter World beta giving access to 2 whole locales. The other key difference so far is that Monster Hunter World final beta did allow you to hunt the flagship monster Nergigante ahead of release. However, this may still be the case as well eventually with Arkveld coming to the second beta for Monster Hunter Wilds, but we won't find out until February 4th, which is literally in like 3 days. And I also discuss Arkveld later in the video, so make sure to stick around. At this point, I'm just making out the key differences as they are known today in the current state. I highly doubt that Monster Hunter Wilds will have a third beta in my opinion, considering that the last time we get to play it is from February 13th to the 16th, and that would mark 12 days between the final beta day and launch. Last but not least, the third and final key difference is that Monster Hunter Wilds only had 4 monsters that you could hunt down, including Chotacabra, Doshiguma, Balhara, and Raidal. The second beta is adding Gypceros, so that is a 5th monster. 4 of those monsters are all brand new ones, and one of them is the apex of Windward Plains, while Gypceros is the only returning monster that people are about to experience again for the very first time, depending on when you originally started playing the Monster Hunter franchise. For those who are new here, Gypceros is an OG of the OGs and has been around since the original Monster Hunter for the PS2 in 2004. Yes, he is ancient along with Gravius and young Kutku. It's quite evident that Monster Hunter Wilds is a huge throwback. Anyway, it's not that far-fetched to expect at least one more additional monster to be able to hunt down in the second beta on Monster Hunter Wilds, considering that Monster Hunter World beta had a total of 9 monsters that you can slay once the third and the final beta came in. So now that we know all of that and all the key differences between the two Monster Hunter games, what exactly could be the new content that Capcom is referring to for Monster Hunter Wilds second open beta on the official website? After thinking about it for a while and analyzing the entire situation and looking back, here are 5 most logical outcomes that I came up with. Let's go over them one by one. The first outcome is that Capcom is simply just going to add another monster to hunt on top of Gypceros that resides in Windward Plains. It could be maybe Quematrice, who is also a completely brand new monster and not a returner. Second outcome is that it's going to be a popular, well-known returner who also resides in a desert-like locales, and he usually goes by a certain nickname in the community. Once again, I won't be mentioning his name or real name either, you all know who he is. Third outcome is that it's going to be Arkveld, who is the flagship of Monster Hunter Wilds. Historically speaking, Capcom has always allowed players to experience the flagship fights in either betas or demos well ahead of the release of new titles. The Monster Hunter Rise demo had Magna Malo, Monster Hunter 4 demo had Gormagala, and of course Monster Hunter World beta had Nergigante. So why should Monster Hunter Wilds be any different and not have Arkveld? Some people say that Arkveld is too important because of the storyline and that Capcom wouldn't want to spoil his fight. I hate to break it to you, but the Monster Hunter franchise was never really about the storyline, at least not in the previous generations. It was a game about hunting monsters and slaying cool looking creatures, and that's it. If you're so paranoid about spoilers or the storyline, then just don't play the beta and savor it. Or if you do play the beta and Arkveld decides to land on you, just run away and do not engage him. I am well aware that Capcom is taking the storyline more seriously this time around, but that doesn't mean that they wouldn't want to hype up the game and not show off the badass monster ahead of the release and let everyone experience him. After all, Arkveld is the star of the show and is on the box art cover. He is the marketing poster boy and he's supposed to be the hype, and just like any company, they are a business, and at the end of the day, the end goal is to make as much profit as possible so they can continue to reinvest and make the next big thing for Monster Hunter, or otherwise known as Monster Hunter 7. But who knows, maybe I'm completely wrong here and Capcom won't let people experience the flagship this time around and change the tradition. I'm just going completely off their history and tradition because it's the only logical thing left to do. The fourth outcome is that Capcom is going to give everyone a big surprise Pikachu face and blow us away with the introduction of a new storyline mission that lets us enter the Scarlet Forest and hunt Lalabarina and Congalala in a single quest, and we will get the ability to free roam in it as well. And if Capcom is nice enough to spoil us, they will also include Duna as well as the second apex. Honestly, I would prefer the Scarlet Forest as the new additional content instead of just a new monster to hunt. However, with the other side of the coin, I also kind of feel like it would be too much content for a game that is so close to release. But then again, if we look at Monster Hunter World beta, they did allow you to hunt in 2 whole locales, and the final monster count was 9 monsters. So the possibility of Capcom introducing a second whole new locale to the new open beta with additional roamers is not completely out of reality because they've done it before. However, I could also see people being upset by this because they would feel that it's spoiling the game too much ahead of the release. But me personally, I would not mind it. I've seen Congalala and Lalabarina enough to where it wouldn't really break the experience for me come launch time. And the last and 5th outcome is that they will add Quematrice and Rathian or Rathalos as roamers to the Windward Plains, but have a quest dedicated to Arkveld himself as well. There will be no access to the Scarlet Forest or anything like that. This is another smaller but safer bet. Neither Rathalos or Rathian would be a spoiler type monsters since everyone and their mom has been fighting them for decades now. Quematrice would also not be a spoiler at this point, to be honest with you. The only big one would be somewhat of a spoiler is Arkveld here. But if you wish to save yourself, then you could just not hunt it or disengage. In conclusion, I hope that whatever Capcom has decided to do with the new content is that it's going to be fun and interesting nonetheless. I believe out of the 5 possible outcomes that I mentioned, the combination of Gypceros and a roaming Quematrice along with Rathalos and a Rathian and Arkveld makes the most sense. It's the least spoilery, one monster is a returner, two other are well-known old-school flagships, another one is a new big dick flagship, just how Nergigante was for the new generation of Monster Hunter. Scarlet Forest with its own set of monsters is just more wishful thinking and high amounts of copium, but in all honesty, that won't really matter that much either since the game is quite close to release now. Either way, Capcom is sure as hell doing a very good job teasing the fanbase and everyone else on this planet. We are 3 days away from finding out the truth. Hold on tight, brothers and sisters, the storm is almost upon us. What are you hoping for in terms of new content for the second open beta besides Gypceros? Would you rather have another returning monster, a new monster that's unique to Monster Hunter Wilds, or do you want Arkveld? Or would you be okay with venturing into the Scarlet Forest and giving Lalabarina and Congalala a visit? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe with notifications turned on. Peace out and happy hunting.